Hey everybody, Jake here for the second video of the Thanksgiving blog post. So happy Thanksgiving everybody if you have not seen our first video on the blog post for this week for the Thanksgiving blog. And what we're doing here is we're looking at the charts from last week, seeing what went wrong, what went right, and kind of what the charts look like going into the future, into the last month of 2018. Now what we had here was an inverse head and shoulders, pretty lopsided, had trouble breaking through the 50-week EMA here. And what we have here is just the SMA 20 and the EMA 50, both weeklies overlaid on the daily chart. So that's something that's unique to TrendSpider. And essentially what we do here is we can now see kind of the longer term trends and how the shorter term price action is affected by those. So we did have the resistance level here. And what's interesting is we broke down, broke through the wedge, but notice how the wedge support then acted almost as perfect resistance today on Wednesday. And what we can see here as well as the breakdown in the percent range in the RSI, the MACD also broke down similar to the SPY. And as well, on the weekly chart, we can also see the breakdown. And what's interesting here is we actually did break down to new lows on QQQ. We did not break down to new lows yet on SPY. So that's something to keep in mind. This is the new trend line that we found using the more lines button here. And essentially what that does is it just kind of maps out more lines on the chart that you can choose from and pick from. So we chose this just because this is kind of the most relevant line here. Once we go back to most relevant, all of these lines disappear and just the locked trend lines remain. And so the locked trend lines are the two black lines here. And so what we'll have to see is really if we continue to break down or Friday brings some prosperity in the markets with bulls taking over once again. That would possibly create like a hammer formation here, but we'll just have to see what happens. If this does continue to break down, this support trend line is the one to watch below, and we'll just kind of have to see what happens. But based on what's kind of currently going on, the markets are clearly spooked by something, possibly interest rates rising, and that could bring more downside in the future. We'll just have to see what happens. Thanks so much for listening in, everyone, and make sure to check out our last video on XBI, and happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much.